Hi, good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss educational demands of individual and diverse communities, Unit 5 from Contemporary India. Disclaimer: the video content has been made available for informational and educational purpose only. Let's start with the introduction. Educational demands of individual and diverse communities. Introduction is Indian society consists of diverse communities. The educational needs of individuals as well as that of the different social groups differs. It is a duty of the government in democratic countries to provide basic education for all the children. The poor, oppressed, and the marginalized people find it impossible to send their children to school as they struggle to get even a square meal a day. Children who drop out from the school without completing their primary education are considerable in number. Furthermore, children with disabilities are unable to go to common school and learn. It is a duty of the government to fulfill the basic educational needs of such people. The central and state government, keeping in mind the diverse educational needs of various social groups in the society, are implementing various schemes with a keen interest. Notable among them are Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan (SSA), Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan (RMSA), and Rashtriya Uchatar Shiksha Abhiyan (RUSA). The integrated education and inclusive education. The main features of each one of these schemes, via the objectives, method of functioning, and the financial resources, are to be discussed in this unit. The challenges in providing basic education for all, education for the collective, and people living. The four fundamental aims of education, known as four pillars of education, are also to be taken up for discussion in this unit. The universalization of the primary education, the meaning of universal primary education. The Article 45 of the Indian Constitution states it is the endeavor of the state to provide free and compulsory education to all the children from age 6 to 14, and this should be realized within 10 years from the commencement of the constitutions. These constitutional directives of providing universal primary education implies the following. The primary education of 8 years should be made free to all the children. All 5-year-old children should be compulsorily enrolled in class 1 of the primary schools. The primary education should be made compulsory. All the children of the age 6 to 14 should go to the school. The children admitted in class 1 should be retained in schools till they complete class 8. Hence, universalization of the primary or elementary education is considered as a duty of the central and state government as laid down in the Indian constitutions. Challenges in achieving universal primary education. The goal of achieving universal primary education as directed by the Indian Constitution, which came into being in 1950, was set first as 1960, as it could not be achieved due to various reasons. It was modified successfully as 1970, 76, 1988, 1990, 1995, 2000, etc. At present, efforts are continued to achieve the targets of providing universal primary education through Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan scheme. Following are the reasons for not able to achieve the goals of providing universal primary education fully even today. The economic factors. Due to the utter poverty, particularly in the rural areas, young children are forced to take up petty jobs as domestic servants or the menials to augment their family income. When Rajasthan government directed for the strict implementation of its legislations by imprisoning those parents who fail to send to schools and the children of the school going age via 6 to 14 years. Many parents prefer to go to jail rather than sending their children to school. The main reason for this sad phenomenon is that acute poverty cornering many a rural family. Ultimately, the state government had to withdraw the penal provisions of the legislations. Second one, ignorance of parents. Uneducated parents do not realize the importance of education, hence they do not care to send their children to school. The parents' ignorance is reported as the main obstacles in getting children admitted in primary school. The communal and ethnic barriers. Some of the tribal people and ethnic groups like Narikorovas do not show any interest in getting their children educated. The religious minorities, particularly the Muslims, backward class and most backward class, tribal and denotified communities, do not evince much interest in education. Children of these communities do not join the school, instead prefer either to take up jobs or enter into family business or occupations. Obstacles due to the social and the religious practices. Some sections of the Hindu society do not allow the girls to attend schools once they attain puberty. Muslims do not care to send the girls to the schools. Geographical locale as a barrier. The localities where people reside also prove to be a barrier to get access to the primary education. Children hailing from hilly areas, drought prone regions, and remote rural villages do not attend schools, as most often no schools is available in those areas. When people are forced to travel a long distance to attend a school, they get discouraged. Educational reasons, wastage and stagnations are the twin problems blogging the primary education. Further, schools' educations appears to be uninteresting and diverged from the practical life. People do not get attracted towards the school. Paucity of funds. Most of the state governments in India suffers from paucity of funds to allocate for opening a new school in good numbers in rural areas and provide the necessary infrastructure to make them functional. It is really sad to note that the government, both at the state and central, do not provide more than 3% of their budget allocation to expand and enrich the primary schools. Administrative lapses, people stop their educations due to dysfunctional schools and schools which do not provide for proper education. Private schools thrive mainly because of bad administration and management of the government schools. The individuals related problems. Mentally challenged peoples or peoples with emotional disturbances and severe behavioral problems could not get along in normal schools and hence have to stop their education. The population exploration. This is the root cause of all other problems. According to 1971 census, there are about 11.7 crore children in the age group of 6 to 14 years, and this figure is expected to rise by 36 crores by 2021. In such a situation, the teacher strength is to be raised to 58 lakhs, for which a huge financial resources is required. As the government struggle to meet such a mammoth financial burden, expansion of the primary education commensurate to the population explosion seems to be beyond our reach. If we analyze above mentioned reasons, it will clear that it is not particularly possible to achieve the goal of providing universal primary education through formal system of education alone. Hence, non-formal system of education should be given due importance and implemented throughout the country. The efforts taken to provide universal primary education, expansion in primary education in 1947, at the time of independence, there were only 173,000 primary schools in India, but it has increased to about 500,000 schools in 1990 and 1991, 842,000 in 2015. Similarly, there has also been a significant increase in the number of middle schools in Tamil Nadu. The schools are opened in small hamlets with a population of 300 people. Number of peoples enrolled in primary school has multiplied in manifold as compared to that at the time of independence. The useful curriculum and interesting methods of teaching. Today, emphasis has been given in the curriculum to include all those meaningful experience of the children which are related to their immediate needs and living conditions. For example, the present day school curriculum provides importance for the environmental education, population education, vocational education, value education, etc., and tries to impart education through the mother tongue. Teaching methods are also made interesting. For example, in Tamil Nadu primary schools, activity-based learning methods is employed in teaching. The special focus on education of the children from the weaker section of the society. Article 46 of the Indian Constitution stresses that appropriate effort should be taken for the educational progress and economic development of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. As per their constitutional directives, the children belonging to the weaker section of the society are provided with a liberal grant of scholarship, and financial assistance, free textbooks, and dress material for the school uniform, free stay and boarding in hostel, etc. in order to motivate them to get educated and advance economically. The student welfare schemes, the free nutritious noon meal schemes, free transport, free textbook, stationaries and uniforms, and free medical facilities are provided to the students. Priority to the girls' education, campaignings are being conducted emphasizing the girl educations, the higher financial allocations. Government, both at the center and the state, make significant financial allocations in their annual budget, and there is about 48.5% is spent on the primary education. In addition to this, private agencies too spend huge amount on education. Some of the new schemes attempted under the new education policy. The new education policy notified in 1986 recommended some new initiatives to make the scheme providing universal primary education successful. They are operational blackboard, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan SSA scheme is being implemented to benefit 20.5 crore people covering 11 lakhs villages, ensuring minimum level of learning by undertaking children-centered teaching methods like activity-based learning, revising the school working days and holidays to suit the needs of the students in rural areas, establishing the district institutes of education diet in each district to improve the standard of education in primary schools, making examinations more objective and ensuring that there is no retention of people in the same class in primary education from first standard to fifth standard, implementing the non-formal education schemes like CAP for the primary school dropouts for those who do not have the schools nearby and for the working children, making the primary education flexible enough to allow the children who study well through non-formal education system to switch over to the formal education system if they desire. As part of the scheme of providing primary education for all, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan scheme is being vigorously implemented to provide education to the children such as those who had not been to school so far. Children who drop out of the school without completing the primary education and those who work as child laborers. As these schemes has proved to be successful, the next stage of this scheme is RMSA and RESA schemes are being undertaken now. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan SSA, the English equivalent of SSA, is the Education for All movement, which is sometimes referred to as Each One Teaching One. It's a flagship of program of India launched during the 5-year plan 1997 to 2002 for achieving universalization of the elementary education UEE in a time bound manner as mandated by the 86th Amendment to the Constitution of India, marking making free and compulsory education to children of age 6 to 14, estimated to be 306 millions in 2021, a fundamental right. This scheme is executed by the Government of India with the full cooperation of the state governments in 11 lakh village for the benefits of 20.5 crore children in the country. In Tamil Nadu, this scheme is executed on the head and direct supervisions of the IAS officers. The aims of SSA, Sarva Shiksha, achieve the goal of universalization of elementary education of satisfactory quality by 2010 to breach the social, regional, and gender gaps with the active participation of the community in the management of the schools. The objectives of SSA are admitting all the children to school education guarantee center or alternative schools by 2003, ensuring that all the children complete 5 years of primary schooling by 2007, ensuring that all the children complete 8 years of schooling by 2010, focusing on providing elementary education of satisfactory quality with emphasis on education for the life, the bridging the gaps between the gender and among the school categories at the primary education stage by 2007 and at the elementary education level by 2010, practicing universal retention by 2010. Operational strategies of SSA opening the new schools in those habitations which do not have school facilities, providing the school improvement grants to strengthen the existing school infrastructure through the provisions of additional classrooms, toilets, and drinking water facilities, providing additional teachers to existing schools with an inadequate strength of teachers, enhancing the capacity of the primary school teachers through extensive in-services programs, providing liberal grants for developing the teaching learning materials, strengthening of academic support structures at cluster, block, and district level, ensuring to provide quality elementary education, including the life skills, providing the special focus on girls' educations and children with special needs, providing basic computer literacy to the students. The funding for the SSA project, the assistance under the program of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan is on 85-15 sharing arrangement during the 11-year plan. That is central government 85 and 15 by the state, and 75-25 sharing arrangement during the 10 plan, and 50-50 sharing thereafter between the central government and the state government. The state government will have to maintain their level of investment in the elementary education as 1999 and 2000. The contribution as state share of SSA will be over and above these investments. The government of India would release the funds directly to the state implemented society. The further installment will be released to the society only after the state government has transferred its matching share to the society in expenditure of at least 50% of the funds. Center and the state transfer has been incurred. The existing schemes of elementary education of the department, except Mahila Samakya, National Ball Bhavan, and NCTE will converge into SSA after the 11 plan. The National Program for Nutritional Support to the Primary Education Midday Meal would remain a distinct intervention. The district education plan would inter alia clearly shows the funds resource available for various components under the schemes like PMGY, JGSY, PMRY, Switch Roser Yojana, area funds of MPs, MLA, state plan, foreign funding, FINI, and the resources generated in the NGO sector. All the funds to be used for upgradation, maintenance, repair of schools, teaching, learning equipments, and local management to be transferred to village education communities, school management committees, gram panchayat, or any other language school level arrangement of decentralization adopted by the particular state UT. The village school based body may make a resolution regarding the best way of procurement. Other incentive schemes like distribution of scholarship on the uniform will continue to be the funded under the state plan. They will not be funded under the SSA program. Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan (RMSA). The scheme briefly referred as RMSA was designed to admit all eligible children in secondary schools and also improve the quality of secondary education. The vision for the secondary education to provide the quality secondary education to all the youth in the age group 14 to 18, to make secondary education easily accessible, to make secondary education economical. To achieve the above mentioned vision statement, following steps should be taken. There should be a secondary school within a radius of 5 kilometers and a higher secondary school within a radius of 7 to 10 kilometers of every habitations. 100% enrollment of this age group 14 to 16, 14 to 18 should be achieved before 2017. By the year 2020, all those who join secondary schools should complete the course. There should be no dropouts. More opportunities for the undermentioned sections of the society to join and complete the secondary education course. Economically weaker sections, girls, handicapped children living in rural areas, marginalized sections of the society, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, other backward class, and educationally backward minority communities. RMSA covers standards 6 to 12. Goals and objectives of RMSA goals. The secondary education should have a new design to provide quality education to all youth in the age group 14 to 18. For this purpose, several guidelines are suggested: easy access to the secondary education to all the eligible persons, equality and social justice, making the secondary education to suit the changing times and to be in tune with the development needs and the overall the structure of the education, encouraging the common school system to achieve the goals of the equity, same schools for all the children, rich or poor, to assure that all the youth, particularly the underprivileged and people living below the poverty line, get the secondary educations. Objectives: all secondary schools should have prescribed school places with adequate infrastructure, material resource, and other facilities. In the case of government schools, municipal schools, and aided schools, the additional expenditure should be borne by the government. Suitable controlling mechanisms should be devised to ensure that private unaided schools also have all the prescribed facilities. Establishing the residential schools in tribal areas, the school management should provide efficient transport system For the benefit of staff and students, no child should be deprived of secondary education because of gender, socioeconomic factors, physical handicap, or other such reasons. The above mentioned objectives will indicate the progress towards a common school system. So RUSA, Rashtriya Uchatar Shiksha Abhiyan. For universalization of the secondary education, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan was launched in 1997 and is being implemented with full vigor in all the primary schools throughout India. For the next stage, the secondary school stage, the aim was to make it available to all children who complete the primary stage. To achieve this laudable aim, a new scheme called RMSA, Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, in 2009 was launched and carried out. As a natural development, the higher education also called for attention. A new plan called RUSA was planned by the Ministry of Human Resource and Development and is being implemented. Under this plan, a new central organization will be created to suggest introduction of reforms in higher education, helps in planning, supervising developmental schemes of all state administered universities. RUSA will provide help towards greater autonomy for state universities and also introduce examination reforms. The other salient functions of RUSA: upgrading the selected universities to achieve international standards, permitting the opening of new universities, linking colleges in the neighborhood of the universities as cluster colleges, upgrading the full-fledged degree colleges into the model college, creating a state council of higher education, funneling central aid to universities and colleges through the state council and not through UGC. 90% of the new expenditure will be borne by the central government and only 10% by the state governments. Even the private unaided colleges and universities can get funds subject to certain conditions. The Ministry of Human Resource Development expects that in the next 7 years, the number of those who get higher education in our country will increase substantially and the gross enrollment rate will increase through the implementation of RUSC from 18 to 25% by the end of 12th plan and 32% by the end of the 13th plan. For the schemes in higher education, including the present higher educational institute, the total expenditure is estimated to be 99 crores. The integrated education, the concept of integrated education, educating children with special needs as well as those with different kinds of disabilities in the mainstream setting of the common schools along with normal children is known as integrated education. The concept of integrated education arose as an outcome of the National Policy on Education 1986, which recommended to provide equal opportunities in education for all, not only for access but also the complete development. Integration in education refers to providing for the interactions of the disabled children with normal children in the same school education settings. In other words, integration in education means mainstreaming or normalization. The implementing integrated educations, children with less amount of disability could be educated in the common school classes along with normal children by providing some specialized educational help and services. Depending upon the extent of disability, the exceptional children can attend classes with normal children either on the part-time or the full-time basis. The following two strategies could be employed to educate the exceptional children in the ordinary school with the normal children. Strategy 1: making the exceptional children to learn in the regular classrooms along with normal children following the normal curriculum on a full time basis by providing the required special help like making available audio aids and hearing impaired books in braille for the visually impaired children. Strategy 2: the children with a moderate level of disability can be made to attend classes with normal children for half a day, and the other half a day learn in the special education rooms with the help of the special education teachers. These children could also be made to participate in all the co-curricular activities along with normal children. The special education rooms situated in the common school campus will have all the materials and equipments as well as the facilities required for providing special educations, apart from the services of the fully trained and experienced special education teachers. Thus, the integrated education is an educational program in which exceptional children attend classes with the normal children either on a part-time or a full-time basis. It is a placement of the disabled children in ordinary schools with some specialized education helps and services. Inclusive education, meaning of inclusive education means that all the students attend and are welcomed by the neighborhood schools in age appropriate regular classes and are supported to learn, participate and contribute in all aspects of the life of the school. The inclusive education is about how we develop and design our school's classroom programs and activities so that all the types of students learn and participate together. Under inclusive education, students with the special needs spend most of or all of their time with the non-disabled students. Inclusion rejects the use of the special schools or classroom to separate students with disabilities from the students without disabilities. Stated briefly, in inclusive education, disabled children are treated within normal children. It includes all the students who are away from education for one reason or others, like physically or mentally challenged, economically or socially deprived, or belong to any caste, creed, or gender. Definition of the inclusive education according to UNESCO, inclusion is a process of addressing responding to the diversity of needs of all the learners through increasing participation in learning, cultural and communities, and reducing the exclusions within and from education. It involves changes and modification in content approaches, structures, and strategies with a common vision which covers all children of the appropriate age range and conviction that it is responsible to the regular system to educate all the children. The difference between education for all and inclusive educations. The Indian government took the word all in education for all to mean as normal children with average intelligence and made efforts till 1990 to achieve the goal of 100% literacy by admitting those students in the age group from 6 to 14 in the public schools. However, even that goal could not be achieved fully even today. UNESCO-sponsored conference organized by the World Education Forum in Dhaka, Senegal in 2000 recommend that education for all must take into account the need of the poor and the most disadvantaged, including street children and working children and children of the remote rural dwellers and nomads, and children from linguistic, ethnic, and cultural minorities, children affected by the conflict and war. HIV or AIDS on their children with disability, including the mental retardations. In inclusive education, the word inclusive is understood in the following ways: care and concern for the disabled students. Inclusion means accommodating all the categories of students in general schools and not sending them to the different school based on their disabilities. Showing concerns for all the categories of the students who are marginalized and deprived of education. Establishing the public schools to provide education for all the categories of the students. Stated in brief, inclusive education is much broader than education for all and based on democratic principles. Education for collective living and peaceful living. The Shakespeare states, "We know what we are, but know not what we may be." We know what we are, but know not what we may be. Today, Indian society need reconstruction. This can be accomplished only through education. To achieve this, we are to transfer the best of the Indian culture to younger generations by linking it with the Western knowledge. The teachers can develop forward-looking outlook among the students. That is, the teacher should do the needful that the students get the education that develop the skills for self-learning, which are useful throughout the one's life. Skills that are required to do different vocations efficiently, skills that help to find the unity in diversity, skills that help to settle disputes through negotiation, discussions, problem solving, and above all, the education should help the students to develop their whole personality. For this purpose, the teachers must develop in a wholesome occupational personality which is liberal in outlook and a progressive in its belief and ideas. The three major issues that are confronting us in the 21st century are war and peace, man and environment, and culture and technology. Along with the population explosion, the knowledge explosions, our expectations to increasing day by day. And because of all these things, we are besieged with tensions in all fronts, all friends. Under these circumstances, that education that help the present day students to live together in the future society, the peace and harmony is essential. In other words, together with developing the subject knowledge and practical skills, it also becomes essential to provide value educations. The committee, headed by Jacques Delors, emphasized the need for the value educations in its report titled Learning the Treasure Within, submitted to the UNESCO. In this connection, the values to be developed among the students are nonviolence, cooperation, selfless attitude, respecting others and treating them with respect, accepting the differences among men and focusing on the common elements, realizing the necessity for everyone to depend on others. The four pillars of education as viewed by Delors Commission report. Delors Commission report 1996 states that education is at the heart of both personal and community development. Its mission is to enable each of us, without exceptions, to develop all our talents to the full and to realize our creative potential, including the responsibility for our own lives and achievement of the personal aims. Besides developing the capacity of the collective and peaceful living, four pillars of the education, as recommended by the Dallas Commissions, are learn to learn, learn to do, learn to live together, learn to be, learn to know, learn to do, learn to live, and learn to be. Know, do, live together, and be. Now let us discuss briefly each one of them. The concept of learning to know. Learning to know refers to the learning how to learn. It denotes one's concentration, memory skills, and ability to think. Every individual has hidden talents such as memory, reasoning, imagination, physical ability, aesthetic sense, aptitude to communicate. From infancy, young people must learn how to concentrate on objects and other people. So this process of improving concentration skills can be taken different forms, aided by different many different learning opportunities that arise in the course of the people's life. As games, work experience programs, travel, practical science activities, etc. The development of memory skill is an excellent tool for countering the overpowering stream of instant information put out by media. It would be dangerous to conclude there is no point in people improving their memory skills because of the vast amount of information storage and distribution capacity available. Some selectivity is undoubtedly required when choosing the facts to be learned by the heart. There are numerous examples of the human memory's ability to outperform the computers when it comes to establishing the connection between the memorized facts that have very little to do with each other. Hence, it is necessary to develop among the students the skills of learning with association and memorizing them. It is wrong to discontinue the traditional memorization exercise in schools. Adapting the learning with understanding and associating which are learned and the skills of retaining information in mind could be improved. The thinking is something children learn first from their parents and then from their teachers. The teachers should help students to learn the encompass the both practical problem solving and abstract thought. A teacher should use both inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning in the classroom teaching. Stated briefly through various subject matters, library work, play activities, and core curricular activities, and by giving importance to inductive and deductive reasoning, scientific methods of solving problems, and laboratory work. Self learning ability could be developed among the students. Knowing means acquiring the knowledge by gathering information about the things and organisms, including the human beings and events. Learning to be know means, besides knowing, finding ways and means of making the knowledge obtained as right and complete as expected. Learning to learn. In other words, when trying to learn something, the planning, the approach to be undertaken is continuously monitoring meaningful learning after completing the learning activity, evaluating how far the desired goal is achieved, or all including learning to know. Summing up, learning to know denotes the ability to get knowledge information needed to work in a globalized information society and knowledge economy and develop the cognitive skills required for learning how to learn and to independently acquire knowledge. As a result of such learning, the person is transformed as more enlightened, more empowered, and more enriched. Learning to do refers to putting the knowledge learned into practice. Competency is necessary to use the acquired knowledge in proper ways. One competency is assessed by looking at a mix of various skills and talents. The school behavior, self-initiative, willingness to work hard, etc. These are often referred to as the interpersonal skills. Besides subject knowledge, other qualities like communications, team building, problem solving, taking decisions through discussion, establishing rapport with others. These are all called social skills or soft skills are essential today to serve in the service sectors. The personal competence includes skills like social behavior, personal initiatives, willingness to take risk, communication skills, problem solving skills, skills of ability, social responsibility, leadership skills, establishing the rapport with others or interested to move with others amicably. Life skills, skills and attitudes required to function as a group. Stated briefly, the second important function of the education is to develop in students the ability to use the knowledge and acquire property to function as a group, the ability to take decisions after deep deliberations and steadfast in implementing the decisions taken, leadership qualities and problem solving skills. Learning to live together is a peace and harmony in a dynamic and holistic process of learning and internalizing social values, practicing them throughout the life. That is a basic need for living in harmony with others and learning and practicing life. The social skills and values like having respect and concern for others, realizing the need of and the importance for the unity and friendship among the people who differ in several ways based on the race, caste, religion, language, sex, culture, etc. Getting along with some with others smoothly, etc. For making students to learn this, the under-mentioned two complementary approaches could be followed. In the early childhood, focusing on students, discovering the diversity among the people around them. From later childhood onwards, from 10 to 12 years of age, making students to involve themselves enthusiastically throughout in their life is common community programs. Identifying the human diversity. Teachers may explain about human diversity to students. The instilling in students the awareness that just like difference, there are also similarities among the peoples and different social groups are interdependent on each other. The school subjects like geography, history, foreign languages, literature, history of religion, citizenship, education, etc., learn themselves to teach students the similarities and differences that exist among the human groups and the interdependency among the human groups. Involving students in common projects that benefits the society. Encouraging the young students to learn through the collaborative projects, teachers and students by involving themselves in the common projects that are beneficial to the society, like renovation of slum areas, helping the senior citizens, and disadvantaged people on humanitarian grounds, participating in the mass literacy programs, undertaking the social services, undertaking awareness program to propagate prevention of environmental degradation, the need for safeguarding the human rights, participating in the movement for prevention of AIDS and drug abuse, social concerns and responsibilities could be developed among the students. Stated briefly, one can live independently in amity and peace with others only by acquiring social concern and social skills. Besides developing the ability to search for knowledge through the self-learning and use of the knowledge as gained in innovative ways, it is not enough to have mere bookish knowledge or proficiency in skills. The education should prepare the students to lead a useful and purposeful life in the society. Democracy is a way of life. If one practice it is from his students' days, he will in his later life become a useful citizens of the society. For these, the values that are to be learned by the students are non-violence, cooperation, selfless attitude, respecting others, treating them with respect, accepting human diversity, and focusing on common elements, understanding the necessity of for interdependence among the people. Learning to be this refers to the all-round development of the whole person. Unlike soap cakes, all people do not have the same nature and characteristics. Various inherent potentials are there in each individual. The main aim of education is to nurture those potentials and making every individual a unique personality. Education should help each individual to develop the body, mind, and spirit. Students from their early childhood should receive education that equip them to develop their own independent, critical way of thinking, judgments that they can make up their minds on the best courses of action in the different circumstances in their lives, and to be healthy with a strong psyche. Started with the main aim of the education is to help each student to develop his or her inherent talents and abilities and develop the body, mind, and spirit. That is, the education should attempt to make each individual as a whole person exalted in different ways. Conclusion in this unit, the necessity for fulfilling the educational needs of various individuals and the groups in the society, concept of universalization, primary education, challenges in implementing it, efforts taken to provide education for all, particularly the salient features of notable schemes like Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, and Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan, meaning of the integrated education and inclusive education, and the main difference between them. The educations for collective and peaceful living, four fundamental aims of education known as the four pillars of education were discussed elaborately. Thank you.